Hello everyone, welcome to another battle report. I know it's been a while. This time I'm taking some vampire counts. I'm trying out this new book. I got the book when it came out, a couple Januaries ago at this point. And haven't really bought any models except for a couple heroes and the Terrorgeist, and I just really wanted to give the army a shot. I've been watching some other channels on YouTube like Matthew Reason, and he seems to have a lot of success with the army. Kind of sick of Bretonia, just there's not a lot of variety with the list, so I'm trying something new here. This battle is going to be 3,000 points. Again, vampire counts versus my friend's Orcs and Goblin army. This is the same guy whose Orcs and Goblins gave my Bretonians such a hard time a few battles ago. He's a really good player. We're doing 3,000 points this time because he's heading to the Peace Corps in July, actually, for 2.5 years, so I won't be able to play with him too much. So we're just going to have one last big shebang, and we'll see how it goes. So we didn't decide to do anything fancy, just battle line. Starting on my right, I had those boars and Spider Rider with the green bases. Those are actually wolves. And one thing I just want to say in advance, I'm proxying a lot because all I have are Bretonians. I'm still in college, so I don't have a lot of money, so I can't really buy a lot of vampire count stuff. So I apologize for the proxies, but I'll let you know what everything is. So those are 5 wolves in the lance formation, just because it makes them more maneuverable. Next to them, the monster base with the dice on it, that is a spirit host, and each number on the dice represents each wound. To the left of them, that's a block of 50 skeletons, and in the front there you can kind of see the metal Conrad Karstein model. That's just a vampire level 1 with, he has a sword of +2 attacks and heavy armor with a 5-up ward save. So I'm trying him out because I think he adds a good amount of killy power to the skeleton unit. We'll see how that goes. To the left of him, all those men-at-arms you see there, that's a horde of 40 ghouls. I only have enough infantry to make 2 ranks, so there's 4 dice representing the back 2 ranks with 10 more in each rank. Behind them you see the White Prime Damsel. She's a level 2 necromancer. To the left of that is a base with the Arachnarok spider stickered onto it. That was my buddy's proxy when he first got the Orcs and Goblin book before he had an Arachnarok spider made, so I'm using that as a Terrorgeist. To the left of that Terrorgeist is a Necromancer. He's level 4. And behind him you see the actual Terrorgeist model. And in front of the Terrorgeist are 6 Crypt Horrors. They're represented by the base I normally use for my Pegasus Knights, and then there's some Night Goblins in there. To the left of them, you see another Spirit Host base. Spirit Host base. There we go. Behind them is then a block of 11 Black Knights represented by my Bretonian Knights with a Vampire in the front. He's a level 2 with all the Blender stuff, so he has Red Fury, Quick Blood, +2 Strength Sword, heavy armor and a 4-up ward save, and he's my general, obviously. And then in front of them, you see those other horses. Those are all those are more wolves. So his army here, this is on my left. All of the Space Wolf wolves with the round bases, those represent his Mangler Squigs, and he's trying something really crazy with these Mangler Squigs. I'll get to that in a minute. So in the very back, he has a block of Savage Orc Biggins with a Black Orc War Boss. In front of them, he has some Boar Boy Biggins, and he has Gorbad Ironclaw in the unit, so he's actually taking that special character, which I thought was interesting. He's the general and the BSB. Behind him, you see the Arachnarok. Then he has those Spider Riders are actually Wolf Riders. He has a Wolf Chariot, another Mangler Squig, the block of 100 Night Goblins with a level 2 or level 1 Night Goblin Shaman. Oh, and his level 4 Orc Shaman, or Savage Orc Shaman, is with the Savage Orcs. Then he has 2 more blocks of Wolf Riders lined up like that, and you'll see why in a minute. Then his War Machines, he has 2 Rock Labas, 4 Bolt Throwers, and finally 1 more Chariot far on his left flank. So he got the first turn. This is during Vanguard movement. So here's his plan, and it makes sense for reads as written rules, but I'm wondering what everybody else thinks. I let him do it because it seems zany. And Orcs and Goblins are, if anything, they're zany. So what he does is he lines up his Wolf Riders in that formation in front of the Mangler Squig. He then points the Mangler Squig towards those Wolf Riders, and the Mangler Squig says that when he lands, or when he hits a unit, he bounces through it and has to stop within 1 inch of the unit. But what he does here is he's putting his Wolf Riders in a position where there is not enough space for the Mango Squig to stop in between the Wolf Rider units and when it gets to my unit. So it ends up looking something like this. So the Wolf Riders are lined up in front of the Mango Squig. He basically pulls the trigger on the Mango Squig. It bounces through both Wolf Rider units, destroying them and into my units. It seems to make sense based on the rules of the Mango Squig. There's nothing in there that says it can't hit your own units. I mean, is it gamey and cheesy? Oh, hell yeah, but, you know, it is what it is, and I was just kind of thinking like, oh shit, this is going to suck. So this is after his movement phase. He moves up his Boar Boys. He kind of holds back with everything else. And so this is what happens after, or this is what I mean with his Mango Squig. So it bounces through both his Wolf Rider units, bounces through the Ghouls, bounces through the Necromancer, bounces through both Terrorgeists, and ends up on my side of the board like this. So I'm thinking right immediately, you know, lesson number one I've learned about vampire counts is I need to take bunkers for my Necromancers. Because my level 4 is about to die, and I'm thinking, oh, crap, here goes my 2 Terrorgeists. This is really going to suck. So this is the aftermath. He doesn't kill any ghouls, actually, but he wipes out the Necromancer. Even with his 4-up ward save, he does like 10 wounds to him. Does 2 wounds on the right Terrorgeist and 5 wounds on the left Terrorgeist, so they're already neutered with their ability to scream because it's based on how many wounds they have left. And so I'm just thinking like, man, that really sucks. And just to add insult to injury, during his magic phase, he Hand of Gorks his Night Goblin unit, and of course they have Fanatics. So these Fanatics are being represented by these little Disco Marines here. He launches the first 2 past my Crypt Horrors and past my Black Knight unit. And the third one bounces through the Ghouls, and thankfully there was enough, he didn't roll high enough for it to bounce through my other Necromancer, so he's just kind of be chilling there. The aftermath of those 2, I lose a Crypt Horror, I lose a bunch of Black Knights, which I'm honestly not too worried about. I mean, I can always res them, and the Black Knights they seem to be more of just a delivery service for the Vampire Lord. So thankfully it's not too terrible. I mean, one of the big weaknesses when I always play my Bretonnians against this Orc player is just these friggin' Fanatics and Mango Squigs just eat everything up because they're, you know, minus 1,000,000 to your armor save, and you can't control where they go, and my lances happen to be in lines, and it just really friggin' sucks. But it looks like the Vampire Counts, the Vampire Counts have a lot better time with it, even though right now it seems like all hope is lost. And this is after his shooting phase. He kills the Terrorgeist with his Bolt Throwers, so that really sucks. Down a Terrorgeist, down my level 4, and I haven't even moved anything yet. So we go to my turn 1. I know this Night Goblin unit is just the tar pit to end all tar pits, but I figure it's right there. You know, he really doesn't have any other combat units to help back them up, so I'm hoping that I can just whittle them down over time. So I charge my ghouls into that unit. Oh, and by the way, the ghoul unit has my White King BSB in the front there, and he has just a 2-up armor save and a great weapon. So I'm kind of seeing how that works out. Charge the Crypt Horrors in. And I think this is also after the magic phase, so I was able to heal up the Crypt Horrors, which is good. Charge 1 Spirit Host into the flank there, try and kill his wizard, and then charge the Dire Wolves in. And the main reason I charge the Wolves in is just so I could make room for my Vampire to charge. So this is a picture of after the Vampire charges in. I think this is also, again, after the magic phase. I was able to res a few Black Knights, and I'm really hoping to see how this Blender Lord works. I mean, everybody says he's so awesome, but, I mean, can he take out Gorbat Ironclaw? We'll see. This is after movement and all that good stuff. I move my Terrorgeist over to scream at the Mango Squig that's in my back ranks because I don't need that guy jumping around everywhere. Another lesson learned about vampire counts is you're very slow when you take your general on a horse and make him charge away from your army. So that's one thing I'll have to learn how to better do is keep my general within 12 inches of my army if I want them to move very fast. Because even though the Terrorgeist has fly, he can't march because he's not a vampire. But I heal him up, so he's got 5 wounds left, so at least he's somewhat effective now. And that level 2 in the back is just spamming Invocation of Nehek. All my wizards have Invocation of Nehek, and I'm pretty sure that's the only spell I actually cast the entire game. And it seems to work out pretty well. I was hoping it would, just taking a bunch of wizards with vampire counts and just blasting the hell out of Invocation of Nehek and hoping for no miscast and just healing everything. After shooting, I destroy the Mango Squig. And this is after combat. So I believe I might have miscast with the vampire count, or his Boar Boys just killed a bunch. So I lost a lot of Black Knights in there, which really, they were kind of disappointing, if I'm honest. They didn't do as well as I thought they would, but it honestly didn't matter. My Vampire Lord just chewed the hell out of Gorbat Ironclaw, even though they both had always strikes first. My Vampire had a 4-up ward save. His guy didn't. My guy had rerolls. His didn't. And I had Red Fury. So he's about 550 points. I don't know how much Gorbat Ironclaw is. I'm sure he's somewhere, probably not nearly as much as that, but he chewed through him. So now he doesn't have a general or a BSB. I wasn't able to run down the Boar Boys. I'm actually 1 inch away from them, but they are fleeing, and on his turn, they're going to be in the way of any kind of counter charges he could make. And I've captured their banner and their BSB, which is goodness. Over here after combat, I managed to kill the level 2, so at least there won't be any goblin magic going on. He kills a couple wolves, takes a wound off of my crypt horrors, and I kill a bunch of 9 goblins, and he sticks. And on the right side, I charge my wolves into his wolf riders, and they win, and they don't manage to run them down, but he's got an easy counter charge with his chariots, but it's whatever, they're wolves. So start of his turn, he charges in the chariot and manages to clip my vampire, so he's hoping to get some impact hits on there. I'm not too worried. I mean, again, I have a 2-up armor, 4-up ward, but impact hits, they can suck. He charges in both chariots and my wolves. More power to him. And his Mango Squig there, this is awesome. All of his Mango Squigs and Fanatics, they kind of start taking care of themselves. He rolls triples. This is the first time I've actually seen that happen. And I'm very happy with that. And his other Mangler Squig that was on the left barrels through the rest of my Black Knights. So no more Black Knights, but at least the vampires, he was fine. And so I'm a little worried now because the vampire is all on his lonesome. So I'm hoping he can at least, do some damage to everything over there, or at least stay alive, because he does have the Arachnarok and the whole block of Savage Orcs. And as you can see, the Arachnarok he failed his March test, actually, and so he wasn't able to go too far, and the Savage Orcs just kind of reshuffle, and the Mangler Squig, though, is kind of in their way, so the Mangler Squigs are actually not doing him too many favors. And I think this is a picture of just what happens to the Fanatics. They just kind of run around. Well, I think one of the Fanatics hits a tree and kills himself. The other Fanatic just bounces away, so they're not really a threat anymore. After combat, his chariots take out my wolves, which was expected. He shoots and does another wound to my or does 2 more wounds to my Terrorgeist, or maybe 1 more, or whatever. In any case, the Terrorgeist is down to 4 wounds left, but I switched the models out, so at least he's not, the stupid proxy. He does manage to kill a Crypt Horror, which was unfortunate. This is after combat with the Vampire Lord. His impact hits actually did a wound to me. And with the Hunger special rule, I didn't manage to roll a 6 after combat, so he didn't regain his wound. So I'm a little nervous. 2 wounds is okay, but I really need to heal him up just to have that insurance policy. And since it'll be my turn next, I can charge the Arachnarok and see what happens there. After combat in the middle, I was very happy to see what happened. As you can see, I'm down 10 ghouls. So the ghouls, one thing I noticed is that they can shred things like nobody's business, but they don't have any armor. So I think maybe I'll try next running some Mortis Engine and see if that helps things out. But I was able to break them because they don't have a general or a BSB nearby. They were on leadership 6, no reroll. It was only a matter of time until they failed that test, and I ran them down. The skeletons on the right are just kind of hanging out. Vampire is probably disappointed because he wasn't involved in the combat, and everything else is as you can see. And this is just another picture of that. Oh no, this is his first turn, or this is his turn 3 charges. So he charges his, or no, this is my turn, sorry. My turn 2 charges. Yeah, I mean, this is only turn 2. Keep that in mind. A lot, it was funny. At this point in the game, I was thinking, this must be like turn 3, maybe even going on turn 4. And he was like, no, man, it's turn 2. I mean, shit's going down real fast in this game. So I charge my skeletons into his chariot, hoping to just kill it through combat, whereas my vampire could chop it up. I charge the wolves into the other chariot, why not? I move everything else. As you can see, I plop one of my spirit hosts on top of the last remaining Fanatic, and since it's ethereal, it just pops the Fanatic, which is a fantastic counter to Fanatics I've found. With my Bretonians, I really struggle for something to counter with them. I usually end up sacrificing Mounted Yeomen, which is not ideal because they're expensive. at least for using them as a sacrifice unit. Everything else kind of moves, as you can see. I flip the Terrorgeist around, move up the Crypt Horrors, just to eventually go help on the left, and yeah. This is just another picture of that, the charges. On the left flank here, sorry for the blurry picture, the Vampire Lord charges into the flank of the Arachnarok, and so we will have another Will It Blend Arachnarok Spider. The Arachnarok has 8 wounds, but he does have a lot of attacks into my Vampire, so I'm kind of nervous about this, especially because he's got poison. He has the super killy bite attack, but I'm hoping my 4-up board save will come through for me there. And after combat, yeah, it's totally awesome. My Vampire Lord he doesn't kill the Arachnarok outright, but he does 6 wounds to him. He doesn't do anything back to me. He breaks, I run him down. Over here, the skeletons don't manage to kill the chariot, but they do break it in combat. And actually, he only manages to kill 1 direwolf, so the direwolves are just hanging out. Or I think what happened was he killed 1, but I charged, so it was a draw. So I didn't lose anything through combat res. So things are actually looking quite good for the vampire counts at this point. I mean, at the beginning, I really thought, well, here goes another game I lose on the first turn because of freaking Mangler Squigs. But it's going pretty well. On his turn, he manages to Hand of Gork his Savage Orcs so they can actually get into the fighting here. So they're right in front of my Crypt Horrors there. And he also charges his Spider Riders, or I guess Wolf Riders, into the Dire Wolves. Here's a picture of that. This might be after combat, I don't remember. And yeah, this is after combat, so he actually doesn't manage to do anything. I crumble by 1 because he charged, and so the direwolf sticks around. This is my turn here, I think. Let me see here. Yeah, this must be my turn then. So I go ahead and charge the this is my turn after combat. So I charge the flank of the chariot that was fighting my wolf. I kill it with the skeletons, overrun into the other chariot. Overview of the board here. I don't charge anything else on the left just because I'm not too eager to get into combat with the Savage Orcs without any kind of support. So I move a Spirit Host in front of it just to block them up. The Vampire flips around and marches back down over here to get back into the fighting. Terrorgeist flies around to do some screaming, and the Necromancer in the back is still casting spells, and I move the ghouls up in as well, just in the expectation that they will eventually help with the fight with the Savage Orcs. Over here in combat, we don't manage to kill the chariot. One thing that was cool, though, is that the vampire there had actually taken a wound earlier in the battle, and the Hunger Rule actually regained his wound. I was very surprised. It was just, kind of something nifty that helped out. This is his turn after combat. He charges his Savage Orcs into the Spirit Host. I do manage to kill 1, but he has enough combat res that I'm only down to 1 wound, though, so they're actually managing to hold him up. I do a wound to his wizard. I think his wizard miscast as well and killed a bunch of orcs. This is either after combat or it's my turn. I flip the skeleton. They kill the chariot and they reform this way. And in the back, his war machines actually haven't been doing a whole lot. After killing that first Terrorgeist, they've either been misfiring, you can see a bolt thrower killed itself, or they just haven't really been doing a whole lot. So my turn now. I think this is turn 4. I charge in the Crypt Horrors into the Savage Orcs, charge the Vampire into the back, move the Terrorgeist around to scream at things. And one thing we weren't really sure how it works is I managed to heal up the Crypt Horrors to give them 2 wounds back and a full base back. But I was a dumbass and moved the second Spirit Host kind of where you see with the 4 dice there on that base, or on that movement tray. So we were trying to figure out what happens, where does the other Crypt Horror go? Because that doesn't seem right. In hindsight, he probably shouldn't have come back at all, but oh well, he wasn't able to fight anyway. And then I think combat just happens there, and yeah, nothing really happens. The vampire chops some things up, but we don't break anybody. On his turn, he moves the Wolf Riders just to block up these 2 units. And this is probably my next turn. I don't really remember. I charge the skeletons into the Wolf Riders, This is freaking fantastic. So I'm well ahead in points. You know, it looks like it's just going to be a mop-up operation for the vampires. And so I figure if I just throw 3 dice at Invocation of Nahek on my Vampire Lord, you know, he can just heal himself and get some other wounds back and everyone else. But of course he miscasts. He rolls the 2 through 4 one, which is get sucked into the warp. He sucks himself into the warp. So I'm down to Vampire Lord, which is a real bummer. A real drag there. But he does heal things up, which, you know, that's great, I guess. And this is a picture after combat. And he decides to throw in the towel there after that happened. So this is how the game looks. This is like turn 4, maybe 5. I don't honestly, I've lost track of turns here. So this is how it looks. All he has left are the Savage Orcs, who will be slowly ground down by the Cryptors. The big boss, or the Black Orc boss, was killed. Terrorgeist is screaming at them. The Vampire Lord's dead. Oh, and also the level 2 Necromancer as well blew up, so that's fantastic. So I lost 2 wizards to miscast this game. I lost level 4 to a Mangler Squig. Lost 1 Terrorgeist to a Mangler Squig. So it just feels like a lot of shit that I lost for just, you know, to chance and to weird tactics. One thing I forgot this entire game was that Black Knights had Killing Blow. I never took that into account. So yeah, that's the end of the game. Pretty solid victory for the vampires. Just some after battle notes. Some things I've learned about vampires. You know, this is really the first big game I've actually ever bothered playing with them. Higher points definitely benefit vampire accounts, I think, more than other armies. Other armies, when you go to like 3,000 points, or, you know, between 2,500 and 3,000, you can get some extra tricks, but it's really not a huge deal. It seems, at least with my Bretonians, that you know, you get more Knight Lances, yay. But with vampires, at 3,000 points, you can easily afford the level 2 Blender Lord and a level 4 Necromancer and a whole host of vampires and other heroes, in addition to your fancy things like your 2 Terrorgeists and a solid core of, you know, Crypt Ghouls, Crypt Horrors, and your Spirit Hosts and your Skeletons. So playing at higher points levels, if your friend has a Vampire Counts army, you know, you might not want to do that necessarily because it'll probably benefit him more than it will you. Ethereal units are fantastic. I mean, yeah, they die to combat res, but they're just really good troubleshooters. They take care of stuff like fanatics that die when they walk into things. They can hold up units. Terrorgeists are surprisingly durable. They have toughness 6 wounds. You know, the one Terrorgeist I have remaining survived quite a bit throughout the game. The only reason the other one died was just because he got Mangler Squig into it and a lucky rock lava shot. Other thing I've learned is having a White King or a vampire in a unit helps them out a lot. Like with the skeletons, you know, a block of 50 skeletons it's a block of skeletons. You're not going to do anything with it. But having the vampire in there with the extra attacks gave them some more killing power. In the future, I might give that vampire, instead of +2 attacks, I might give him +2 strength, because that'll help them out with dealing with high armor. But just having a basic vampire with, you know, with having, how many is it? 6 attacks, you know, that's decent at strength 5. Like, that'll take care of most things for you that skeletons can't really handle. The White King BSB was nice. Having the -1 to crumble is good. I mean, it's nifty, but if you're losing combats anyway, you know, it'll help you out with, you know, if you're going to take that 1 wound. I think the BSB is most helpful with characters who would crumble otherwise, because a lot of times if you just lose by 1, if your character takes a wound, you know, then you're screwed. Another thing is the Blender Vampire Lord. It's awesome. Oh my god. Like, if there's anything that's overpowered in the vampire book, it's the Blender Vampire. But you do pay the points for him. I mean, he was something around 550 points in my army, but I think he easily cleared out himself well over his points value, and he would have done more if he hadn't killed himself with the stupid miscast. That's another thing. Armies like vampire counts that rely on magic, you might think you're being conservative with your dice. You might think that you're not taking any huge risks with, you know, throwing like 6 dice at different things, or if you don't throw 6 dice at things, you might think you're not taking a lot of risks. But because you're so dependent on casting spells, miscast will catch up to you. I mean, I had 2 level 2s and a level 1, and I was just casting Invocation of Heck all the time on 3 or 4 dice at most. And 2 wizards died from miscast. So that's one thing that's shown me, especially at the end of the game, or especially with the Vampire Lord, you don't want to risk anything on casting. So I could easily see the argument for not having an all-in-one Vampire Lord. Besides the points cost, the argument saying that having a level 4 Vampire Blender Lord is a bad idea because you can easily miscast and kill yourself. So you might as well put the points in like a Necromancer where they're cheaper. I think next time I play, I'm going to try Graveguard instead of Black Knights. The Black Knights were cool. I mean, I love the idea of Black Knights, and my dream is to make this awesome, cool, converted Bretonnia/Vampire Counts army. But they just weren't that impressive. I mean, a 2-up armor save is great, but they don't have any kind of ward save. They're only weapon skill 3. They have low initiative. Flame Blow's neat, I guess, but they're definitely better at sending the vampire where he needs to go than they are actually fighting things on their own. So next time I think I'll try a Horde of Graveguard. I might try some Mortis engines, see how that works out, just to maybe just try like a big block of infantry. And one last thing I want to note about vampires that I found out in this game is that Crypt Horrors are sweet. Like when I first got the book, they didn't seem like a very sexy option. They were just kind of, oh, bigger ghouls. Oh man, so creative, Games Workshop. And especially compared to the Vargeist, the flying frenzy guys, because they're just, more killy. But toughness 5 is a big deal. And I mean, they only have a 5-up regen, but that's decent. A lot of things don't ignore regen unless they have flaming attacks. But toughness 5, 3 wounds, and then if a level 2 necromancer that's kind of babysitting them can heal a full base every turn. It's 1 plus their wizard level. So if you have a level 4, you could heal almost 2 bases every turn. So they're really, really durable. And I can easily see the argument for making a horde of them or a bunch of them. And yeah, so that's my first real experience with vampire counts. I'll probably start playing them more. I'm hoping that, once I graduate and I get a decent job, fingers crossed, I think the latest stat was 85% of college grads don't have jobs. But in any case, with any luck, I'll get something decent and then I'll be able to have more money and I'll be able to buy a vampire counts army. Yay. And yeah, so that's kind of the plan in the future. I'll still play Bretonnians from time to time, but playing them since 2010, I think it's just kind of gotten old. I'm really hoping that they get a new book soon, just to get some new options because there's just not a lot to do. I mean, when half your book is outdated. One thing I might do is actually just do some videos just talking about the Vampire and Bretonnian books and what I think of them, what my experiences are with them. Just kind of do some book reviews. But in any case, hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time.